Okay, so let's move on to point number 6, which is a word. I want to say something, a word to my right-wing friends and Ben Shapiro's critique of the movie. A word to my right-wing friends and Ben Shapiro's critique of the movie. Now, I say Ben Shapiro because this I watched this after taking all my notes, by the way. So I already had my script and what I wanted to speak about, and then my wife told me that there was this long Ben Shapiro critique of the Barbie movie, which obviously I already knew that Ben Shapiro wasn't gonna like the Barbie movie. I was expecting that, but I definitely did not expect his review, the way he did it, how emotional he was while doing it, and yeah, and I think it was a pretty bad review of the movie. Not in the sense, okay, I'm not saying that it was bad, his review, for having a bad opinion about Barbie. I'm just saying, even methodologically, the way he tackled the movie and the choice of elements that he kind of like became so obsessed by, or he was obsessing over certain elements of the movie that I was like, whoa, like I think he missed the point, in my opinion. And so, but anyways, so as you know, I think that Ben Shapiro's review of the movie show how much Ben cares about his feelings and how much his feelings constitute his facts about the movie. You know, Ben Shapiro is very well known by his slogan or famous saying of facts don't care about your feelings. Facts don't care about your feelings. I have a lot to say about this because facts do not interpret themselves. And when it comes to value questions or political questions, there are no facts in the scientific sense, but rather interpretations about the world and the facts. Because if we talk about facts, it's because we care. Listen to this, because if we talk about facts, is because we care with our feelings too. The giving some facts a place of importance is the result of caring about the way we feel about those facts. So the selection of facts as something important to then use for an argument is because those facts are speaking to us emotionally. Somehow, like as a moral sentiment, we see, oh, those things are important for this argument, for this interpretation of reality that I'm having. So this idea that facts all of a sudden interpret themselves is a lie. And so, yeah. So, and you know, to Ben Shapiro's credit, I'm not a comedy guy. I don't really watch comedy. I like drama. Surprise, surprise. You know, I'm a sad soul. And it is true, I was expecting, you know, the Barbie movie to be more entertaining. I didn't feel as entertained. I think that the symbols, the colors, the staging of the movie, some of the acting scenes and things like that, I think they were great. I didn't feel this entertaining element as much, even though it was intended to be comedy. That I agree. But again, I'm not a good person to judge the quality of a comedy because, you know, I really don't laugh about many things that people tend to laugh about. So yeah, so I'm recognizing there my limitation to judge the quality of the movie in its comedic element. Now, something that I want to say is that the movie does use absurdism and hyperbole as a way of portraying ideas. Let me repeat that. The movie uses absurdism, or this idea of absurdity, of exaggeration to the point of being absurd, and hyperbole and exaggeration as a way of portraying ideas, right? Because exaggerating is a didactic tool, right? When you want to get a point across, sometimes you use an extreme example to show a degree of truth that your reality holds with regard to that exaggerated example, you know. So the extreme is showing something in a lesser degree of what I'm experiencing. It's basically the idea. Now, again, I'm not really a fan of those movies because I don't understand it. I like more in written. Some examples in written, I like it more when I'm reading some essays. Chesterton, for example, in his essay, he uses this hyperbole at times, but I do find him funny. Anyways, same thing with, I think, Pulp Fiction, famous classic, also tries to use this absurdism to, and they say that it's the intellectual type of movie. I think I was bored to death with Pulp Fiction. So I'm very transparent. I'm very raw. I'm not gonna tell you I like something just because I'm supposed to like it. So no, I'm telling you the truth. I wish the movie was more entertaining. It wasn't, in my opinion, and it's not really a movie that I would watch on my own. I even didn't know anything about Barbie before this, just that it was a toy, and I didn't even know that there were many Barbies. I thought that the stereotypical Barbie of blonde and white was the only thing there was. And so, but I did it more for my wife because I was trying to encourage her and take her on a nice day. We ate some pizza before, then watched the movie. It was really fun. It was really connecting because I'm trying to grow to be more loving in the way she likes to be loved in our marriage, and so that's why I went to watch Barbie with her. She actually didn't know I got the tickets, and she was surprised and happy. I'm still happy I watched it though, because it helped me understand more about this issue. So, but my critique to Ben Shapiro is that Ben Shapiro basically cherry picks some part of the movie, and sometimes I feel like he reads too much into some of the things in the movie that, in my opinion, are more peripheral or more secondary, of a secondary nature rather than the main point. And I think that in some parts he completely misinterprets something and misses the whole point with regard to the progression of the movies and the main ideas that are being discussed. Sometimes he takes the absurdity element and also the hyperboles as kind of like literal, and instead of appreciating the hyperbole nature of the movie as a way of seeing, okay, what can I rescue from this message, rather than kind of like throwing the baby with the bathwater just because it wasn't representing with accuracy, mathematical accuracy, what it actually is in the real world. But hyperbole is not trying to be as accurate in the sense of super well delineated. It's trying to convey a message, a general message, rather than detailed mathematical calculation about a problem in the world. So I think that's my critique. And something I see is that he takes the ideas being portrayed already as a way of, oh, let me go to war and let me destroy these ideas. Let me destroy this. And so there is either good or bad, and for him it's completely garbage, the movie. So if you want to watch the review, you can. I don't think he said something insightful. I think it's just more political criticism that is expected from right-wing people. No degrees of nuance, in my opinion, about what could be rescued about the elements in the movie. And I feel like, and this is something I want to say to my right wings, because I think that Shapiro is almost the archetype of many of the collective consciousness of people on the right. Okay. I think that there is this idea of this rhetoric of rationality, to just fix lament, to fix problems, and just hold rationality over emotionality, as if rationality is able to fix everything, and that's why the facts don't care about your feelings sentence is very used in the circles of Ben Shapiro. But as I said to you, this idea of the facts don't care about your feelings is a complete lie. It's actually a really bad sentence, because the selection of certain facts is driven by emotionality. It's driven because there's something speaking to your moral sentiments, so to speak. And so that's why I don't like that. And this rhetoric of rationality is always accompanied with this hostility or this type of like, how stupid are the left-leaning people, how silly, how, and so it's not, in my opinion, it's not fostering a spirit of dialogue, a spirit of love. I think that at times Ben Shapiro embodies, in my opinion, more like a bullying attitude of the smart guy in the classroom, rather than actually a person that is creating bridges, using his rationality as a way to serve everybody, and not antagonize so much with the otherness, with the other person that doesn't think like you. And as I said in a previous episode, I do believe that the highest form of tolerance and love is the dialogue with the otherness, with the person that does not think like you, that thinks the complete opposite. You know, to the left-leaning people, Ben Shapiro and Trump would be the radical otherness that is hard to love. To the right-leaning people, it would be AOC, or I don't know, some radical lefty. And so but I believe that is the true form of tolerance. People talk about tolerance. No, that is the true form of tolerance. Speaking and sharing the table and eating with somebody, that is completely outside of what you think is correct. And if you want a good example of that, you can read the Gospels and you can see Jesus sitting down with people who were completely militant, trying to overthrow the Roman Empire, who were assassins, also in the same table eating with people who were tax collectors, which were the people, it was basically the IRS for the Roman Empire. And so they weren't liked by the Jewish community. And you can see Jesus talking to the outcasts, to children, to the widows, to women who were, a secondary type of citizens, second class type of person in the patriarchal societies. And so you see all of that, and talking to prostitutes. And so that is the true otherness. Jesus was capable of sitting down with AOC, with the most radical person on the LGBTQ community plus whatever, and also with Trump and Shapiro and Steven Crowder and all these people. Like, Jesus was able to sit in the table with everybody and speak truth in love, because one thing is what you believe, and the other thing is how you express your belief, right? I could have the belief about something and express it in a loving way, or I could express my belief putting posters in the street saying God doesn't love you because you are homosexual, I don't know, something like that. So as you can see, one thing is the belief you have, and the other thing is how you express it. And I believe that the most loving way to express belief and be vulnerable with the otherness is dialogue. That's the hardest thing. All right. So yes. So my warning to people on the right wing is stop using this rhetoric of rationality and hostility and thinking that you are enlightened as a way of being dismissive with what many groups are saying about their pain. If a bunch of people, black people, is telling us, hey, we are being oppressed, there are problems, or if women are telling us, hey, we're suffering with this is not fair, we should listen. At least we should listen. Now, and so with this, what I'm trying to say is that do not fix lament. Try to, even if people don't say all the right things, instead of you quickly with your rational rhetoric, try to use that just to destroy the argument, just to prove yourself to be right, and how rational and how facts don't care about people's feeling. Instead of doing that, the idea is to actually, no, let me listen to the otherness. Let me listen to the other people that I don't agree with, and let me try to see what elements I can take as good criticism and how I can create bridges of love, bridges of harmony. So don't try to be the smart guy. We need to get rid of that way of talking to people we disagree with. Now, I also disagree, on the other hand, with left-leaning people on this, because sometimes they say that, oh, if you are not part of the minority group, you should not speak of their issues. I don't agree with that. Because if we do that, we are reducing the discussion of truth and pain and lies, and we are just putting a huge boundary and becoming tribal. And all of a sudden, that implies that that the person that suffers this X, Y, and Z is the person who has the monopoly of truth. And that is not even the case, because people who suffer trauma many times are less equipped to make sense of their traumatic experience and to be able to articulate and adapt to the world in a proper manner. They usually develop a lot of coping maladaptive mechanisms, and they are not able to distinguish between a benevolent person who is not trying to oppress them and a malevolent person that is hurting them. And this, for example, happens to women who have had sexual assault, who have been sexually assaulted or raped or emotionally abused for many years. They are not capable of distinguishing between a good man and a bad man. And so that's what I'm trying to say, is that pain or just being part of the minority group who has suffered oppression does not give you the monopoly of truth. And we should be and we have something that is, we are able to have dialogue to be able to create bridges of understanding. However, we should not underplay the role of experiences, because experiences do give you an insight into reality that is very hard to comprehend when you don't have that experience. So I think we should keep this tension between recognizing and honoring the experience of people and their pain, and not being dismissive or not try to intellectualize their emotional pain and just, you know, fix them. But at the same time, we should not fall into the other mistake of, oh, you cannot say a word or you cannot have a proper discussion or an ethical discussion if you are not part of this minority, because then you are making the truth or the discussion about the truth depending of whether or not you are part of our tribe. And so it becomes truth that is tribal, and so then you are actually impeding or creating more limitations for understanding, because it gives you the sense that, oh, if you have not experienced this, you cannot understand me. Then, well, okay, so let's just be at war. If there's no capacity for understanding because I have not experienced that, then yeah, it's all about power. See the implications of that. It could quickly become just about power, because, oh, you have, the white person has not experienced the oppression of the black person, or the man has not experienced the oppression of a woman. Then let's just be at war because there's no possibility for understanding. But that's not true. There is possibility for understanding. We should just, again, be able to sit together and have conversations. That's the idea. Okay, yes, and I'm saying this because I think that you don't even have to talk about oppressed and oppressor and these societal problems. You could even think of, as an example of what I'm saying, you could even think of just the dynamics between a couple, you know? And so how difficult at times is to convey emotional pain and to be able to understand the other person. I remember I had a fight with my wife 3 weeks ago, and I really hurt her feelings. I was feeling overwhelmed. I experienced a situation where I felt like she was the culprit, and you know, I was feeling really overwhelmed, and I mixed all of those emotions, and I so to speak contextualize my emotional stress and disturbance and pain as if she was the cause of it, so to speak. And no, what actually happened is that I was already feeling heavy about many things, and she kind of like triggered all of that in me. But in my understanding, even though I had some time to reflect before speaking to her, I really thought she was the culprit. And then when I expressed my pain, the way I did it was really emotional. I let myself be controlled by my emotions, and I expressed it in a very dismissive, angry way. And then she felt really hurt. And so we talked. I apologized. She expressed her hurt more. So after a couple of days, we started talking again. Just to see how she was feeling and why she was feeling the way, like, because I could tell there was something unresolved, that I was missing something from the picture. Yeah, I could tell that I was missing something from what went down. And so we talked again, and she basically expressed that, oh, I don't think you realize how much it hurt me what you told me. And so we start, and she expressed a little bit more. I tried to understand a little bit more. I was, instead of just rushing ourselves into apology and moving on, I asked her more questions and gave the proper time to understanding what went through her thought process, how she felt, and you know, also sharing my side as well. And then I realized why she took it the way she took it. So what I'm trying to say, and with this example, even in our marriage, my wife and I, that we've been married 6 years, and we are pretty much, we've been friends since we were 17. I'm 29, and you know, I'm one of the lucky guys, you know, who marry their first love, and so my wife is my best friend, is my lover, my companion. I love her to death. I would do anything for her. So even having the best intentions of having this relationship work out, and even talking through the problem, even with all of those good conditions for reconciliation, even then, sometimes it is still very difficult to understand one another. So Can you imagine if we don't even have the patience or the disposition to hear the otherness, to listen to the otherness? Well, I mean, there is nothing then, just word, just antagonistic behavior, hostility, and bridges burned. And so that's what I'm trying to say. Even with the best of intentions, with somebody that you want in your life, that you care about, and all of that, even then it's quite difficult at times to express our inner hurts and to comprehend one another. Can you imagine somebody that doesn't even care about the oppressed, or the oppressed feeling so hurt that is not willing to talk and things like that? So I'm saying, there are no shortcuts. It's not easy, it's very complicated, but the alternative is worse. And that's why, to my right-wing friends, what I want to tell you is that I know that when you hear the word feminism, you are triggered, you don't want to know anything about it, you think that they are destroying the family and the kids and all of that. Yes, I understand all of that, I share some of your concerns, but please do not be so quickly to dismiss something. Like, try to ponder and sit down and share the table. And I think that the best way to practice this is to read the gospel. I think that even if you are not religious, by the way, I think there is a lot of utility in seeing Jesus. I do believe that we're spiritual beings, but obviously I know many of you are in your journey, and at some point we'll tackle those ideas from a philosophical perspective. But yeah, so let's share the table, let's have dialogue, true dialogue. Let's not use the rhetoric of rationality to be the smart guy in the room. Like, that's just silly, to be honest. It sells well. That's why Daily Wire has a lot of people, and Jordan Peterson joined in a couple of months ago, 6 months ago, and I listened to Shapiro and Peterson still up to today, because to me, again, people are equal, ideas are not, and many times I listen to ideas more to assess them and see what I can learn, and many times I reject 50-70% and I keep 20. And so I even try to practice this with people I disagree with. But I do believe that we need to foster a community of dialogue, true tolerance, not this tribal tolerance that I'm only tolerant when it's convenient for my own pocket, or for me, or for my position of power. And so anyways, I just think we can do better than that.